Hey, this is Dave from MetalEpidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What's up, guys? Dave here from Metal Epidemic, joined by my man Kyle. We are back for another album review. And for this review, Kyle and I has been checking out the new album from Norwegian death metal band Blood Red Throne. The band's new album, Imperial Congregation, will be released on October 8th via Nuclear Blast Records. So, I think it's safe to say if you listen to death metal, I'm fairly sure you'll have heard of Blood Red Throne. That's a safe assumption to make.
Pretty much.
They've been churning out good old-fashioned death metal since 1998. And Imperial Congregation were the band's 10th full-length studio album. The band also tracked the album from the comfort of their own home. Oh, sounds good. One by one, each member recorded guitar, bass and vocal pieces in Daniel's home studio in Norway. He said, "We all know our stuff and know how we want things to sound." He describes drummer Freddie then completed his segments from his personal rehearsal space, and eventually everything made its way to Ronnie Bjornstrom in the mix room, enhanced audio productions for mixing and mastering. Daniel said, "This is the first but definitely not the last time we used Ronnie. We've never sounded as good as now. This dude is the shit." There we go. So, over 25 years, 10 albums soon to be under their belt, Blood Red Throne is dedicated to the continual delivery of straightforward, exceptional death metal, with Imperial Congregation being no exception. They said, "This time around we've made something new and fresh in our sound. We felt it from the very first song that was written. This will take us to a whole different level in terms of arrangements, riffs, vocals, everything. We are super excited to share this with our fans and in cooperation with the greatest label ever." So, Kyle, I mean, being in Norway yourself,
I mean, yeah.
I'm assuming you've maybe heard this band before.
It's safe to say Blood Red Throne are a Norwegian metal institution. They are so very well known, and they just play everywhere, and everyone knows who they are over here. They are, one of the bigger bands. Let's say it that way.
Okay. You seen them live? You been to see them live?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. I've met them, talked to them. I know one of them a bit, and yeah. Well, I've been to on their last album. I was in the studio while the mixing guy was mixing one of the songs, so I got to hear it way before anybody else, which I felt very happy about. So nice. I'm deep in there with Blood Red Throne.
And now they've been signed to Nuclear Blast for this new album, which is a big step up.
Yeah. I've been going for 20-something years, so I mean, it's about time that they got the recognition. I mean, not that they've been on bad labels before, but I mean, when you're on Nuclear Blast, it's like, okay, you've made it. Yeah.
So the new album, what do we think? I think this is what I would class as good, solid death metal. Like, if you've never heard Blood Red Throne, then what you've got here is like a kind of like the grooves of bands like Cannibal Corpse. There's a little bit of Decapitated in there as well, but it's got like an old school vein kind of running through it. You know, akin to bands like maybe like Skeletal Remains, that type of thing. And I for one, I love that kind of balance. Like, these guys, they make sure that each track takes you through the kind of fundamental elements of what makes death metal so fucking addictive and punishingly heavy. Like, they're not technically trying to innovate the genre. You know, they know what works, as Daniel said. They've been doing this for over 20 years. And I think they've got to a point now where they've kind of perfected their sound. And they know how to execute it with like absolute precision. I would say, listening to this album, and then I'd listened to the previous album as well, I think this album has some of the best ideas that they've come up with. I particularly love the way they've kind of formulated this record. As you kind of move through Imperial Congregation, you can hear they've tried to really kind of separate each track out and make it its own. You know, like, they all have similar like a similar set of rudiments, but the construction of each track sounds different. You know, to kind of make it its own. They use like different tempos, or they'll use, you know, different riffs rhythmically, you know, that sound different from the last track. And I really enjoyed that. I felt like for the most part, each track had something different to offer. I didn't mind the last album. I thought Fit to Kill was okay. But I honestly think that Imperial Congregation has, as I said, much better ideas. Also, I think vocally, I think this is far more consistent than Fit to Kill. When I listened back to that last album, there was a couple of high screams on it that were a little bit kind of shaky for me. Just a couple of moments. But I didn't find that at all with this album. I thought the vocals were absolutely on point. I thought, like, I must say, I think the bass on this is fucking outstanding.
They've got a new bass player for this album.
Oh,
they've been
right.
through a few recently, but the
Right.
past few albums, but they got a new one, and he's really good, yeah.
Yeah, I was really impressed. Gunnar, I think his name is. I thought he added in some really nice bass licks into this. Really well placed as well. There's a lovely little kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, like kind of like a pop and slide type thing near the beginning of Conquered Malevolence, which, you know, you don't get in a lot of like traditional death metal albums. You maybe get that from something more progressive, but I thought it really worked. Just those little kind of standout licks here and there, and you know, they were usually in a nice space as well, where you weren't getting like pounded with guitars and stuff. So he slotted them in really, really tastefully. Also, the production for me on this album feels like it felt like it was working more in conjunction with the band. I thought it felt fuller kind of overall compared to some of their previous albums. I think it emphasizes a lot of the grooves, which is what they do really well. And I thought the drums alone sounded, you know, far kind of gutsier on this release. And as I said, the bass with that tone, again, sitting perfectly in the mix for me. I really enjoyed this. Is it reinventing the wheel? No, not really. Have I heard stuff like this before? Yes, I have. But I think this is delivered with a kind of high level of accuracy and skill. I think the riffs are headbang inducing, you know, right to the very end. The production gives you a little bit of old school nostalgia, but it's got a kind of modern, like, kind of punch to it at the same time. I think this is like, it's an album you can throw on and just kind of like get your groove onto it, if you know what I mean. Not like a sexy kind of way, obviously.
Unless you're into that kind of thing.
That's a different type of album you need for that. Maybe go a bit of Kenny G, something like that.
Kenny G, Blood Red Throne, you know.
Yeah. But if it's like straight up, no frills, kind of meat and potatoes death metal you're after, then this will hit the spot. The G spot. Yeah, I think
It's just unnecessary joke.
Yeah, I know.
That's great.
Yeah, I've regretted that after I said it.
Oh, you shouldn't. Don't edit it out. It was great.
So what did you make of these guys? Obviously, you've been a fan for a while. I've been a
fan for a long time, yeah. And I don't know, like their production is very hit and miss for me. Like the self-titled in 2013, I loved that album. I still let's give it a spin. It's a really, really strong album from them. Yeah. The two after that, Something About Flesh and Fit for Kill or whatever it's called, they're like, meh. I don't know. They're all right. I mean, Blood Red Throne, they are great at what they do. I'm not saying that they're bad in any way, but I mean, this feels like it's a step forward and back at the same time. I felt like they weren't quite as imaginative and inventive as they were on that 2013 album. Okay. I mean, they're very good at what they do, and I love the new bass player. That's fantastic stuff. But I don't know. This album was a bit hit and miss because, as you say, they're just, you know, they're not just a death metal band. They're very, very, very specialized death metal band. They know exactly what works in death metal, and they bring all of those elements forward, but they never once try to push the boundary. And I would have thought, especially coming after that 2013 album, that it was self-titled, that maybe they were starting to, but they never sort of pushed it any further than that. Yeah. And I mean, not that I'm saying it's boring or anything. It's just like when you've heard these elements in death metal for the past 20 years, it starts to get a bit like, okay, we need to bring something more. And where these guys are really, really, really good at what they do, and they're a great time live, and they're great guys, and they're everything. I feel like if they tried to push something, they'd be really good at it. If they brought some new ideas in, and maybe made it a bit more progressive, a bit more, went more in a technical direction, because their playing is outstanding. And I've seen them live a few times, and they can pull all this off live as well. This is the best produced album they've ever had, by the way. This is even the ones back in time. I mean, the one before this, it felt like just a lot more thin. Even before that one, the self-title again, I think, was better than the previous two. But fucking drum samples, man, all over the damn thing. They fully replaced it, and I'm just like, you really fucked yourselves with that one. So I don't know. It's like, the guitars and the vocals and the bass sound incredible, and they are really good, and it's the best the band has ever sounded. But if they had just toned it down on a goddamn drum sample replacement, it would have been so much better, because it suits their sound down to the ground, Like, their one guitarist, he has this whole dime bag thing going, and he plays the Dean guitars and all this, and that kind of thing works better with their sound instead of going all computerized. So for that, it really did take me out of it every time I heard a drum, and I was like, oh no, it sucks. But I mean, I don't know. It wasn't like I don't think this is their best album. I think this is their best produced album, and I think I'm very happy that they're on they're on Nuclear Blast. That is absolutely about fucking time that they got that kind of recognition. And I really hope that they take a couple of years and they write some amazing songs, and maybe try to push some boundaries, because I think if these guys do it, they'll be incredible at it. I mean, we've all heard the meat and potatoes death metal thing for 20 years, and it's like, okay, let's do something more. Blood Red Throne, you're amazing. We can do this, So, and it's a great album, and buy it and listen to it, and I'll enjoy it time and time again. But I just want to hear something that's more them, if you know what I mean. Not just like, because you can say they've got all these influences from death metal, but it's like, death metal's been a thing, and this is. It feels to me like death metal has done everything it can do. There's not much more new stuff to come from it. So if you introduce some more stuff and take it in some different directions, you could really stand out from the crowd. And I think if the lineup they have now, if they started to do that, they would really hit another level and go far and wide. So saying that, I did enjoy the album. I'm definitely going to see them live again when they come around. So I mean, I'm not taking any away from it. I just think it's time to like really bring something of your own to it.
Okay. So ratings for this one. I totally get where you're coming from with this one. But I kind of still dug it. I mean,
I loved it. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't love it. It's absolutely fantastic for what it is.
It does what it says on the tin, if you know what I mean.
But I just want something more, because I know they can do it, if you know what I mean.
I don't know. See, I kind of like last year we had like Skeletal Remains, and they put out an amazing death metal album again. Not pushing boundaries really, still continuing on with the stuff that we're doing, but they just do it so well, and I kind of feel the same about this. I don't feel this is quite that level, because I really loved that album last year. I feel this is maybe just a smidge under that, but I think I'd still go back to this. I think
for sure,
it's still got some great riffs or some great grooves on it. It's good kind of solid chunky death metal, and there is I think it's not overly technical, but there's a level of kind of technicality to it as well. I think for me, it feels solid for me. I'm going to go 4 out of 5. I think on this one.
Yeah, I think I'll join you on that. Yeah, 4 out of 5. It's not pushing any boundaries, but it's a fucking amazing for what it is. It's absolutely down to the ground death metal.
Yeah,
but it's mixing old school and new school as well, which is really good. It's not just we're an old school death metal band. It's like it's taking all of everything in death metal and putting it together in one amazing package. Yeah, and I don't know. I've listened to all of the albums and I'm like, okay, I want you to do something more. That's all I want. Yeah. If you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think you've probably got more of a kind of invested interest in them because of the Norwegian, and you've been listening for such a long time. Yeah. And you want to kind of see them go to that next level.
I really do. Yeah. I'd love for them to just take off and go worldwide. Yeah. Yeah. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 4 out of 5s for this one. Imperial Congregation drops on October 8th via Nuclear Blast Records. I will put a link below to their Facebook and to their Bandcamp, any pre-orders for the album, so you can check it out. Let us know what you think. They've dropped a few singles for it already. Let us know what you think of those. And once you've heard the album, stick some comments in below. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. That is the review. Thank you for checking it out. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
See you later.